Good evening, everyone. Hello and welcome along to the VCO ProSIM Series and Happy New Year 2021. We're barely into it and we've already kicked off the esports season. It's round 4 of our championship. It's been a fascinating couple of races so far, kicking off in early November. And the first round of our championship, we saw Max Verstappen and Max Beneke take the victory at Motegi. In the second round of the championship, we moved on to Bathurst, where local boy Josh Rogers, although of course he lives in Germany now, and Ayachan Guven took victory. And then last time out around Suzuka, well, it was Beneke and Colombo who took the victory over the line, but so many penalties handed out after the race due to pit stop infringements that it was this car, the 26 Red Bull liveried machine of Graham Carroll and Lauren Heinrich, that took full points, and therefore we kind of have ripped up the form book, and the championship is looking very, very tasty indeed in our Dallara F3 cars as we move in to the midpoint of the season. It's 8-round championship that will finish at the end of March, but this is round 4, and here is how the championships look so far. Martin van Loosenord leads the standings in the fun race. We've had 2 fun races for the sim drivers and only a single fun race for the pro drivers. So we'll be seeing the pros tonight driving the fun race. Van Loosenord ahead of Beneke. And then here are the pro drivers in the championship race. Lauren Heinrich ahead of Alexei Nesov and Philippe Eng in 3rd position. No, Max Beneke in the top 5 because he, of course, is a esports driver and he does lead the championship, equal on points with Graham Carroll. Patrick Heusman we'll be talking to a little bit more, a big story surrounding him in the world of esports this week. Sebastian Job and Matt Backham round out the top 5 positions. So let's have a look at who we've got tonight. Jimmy Broadbent in the 1 car. The guest car was Smudo tonight. Robert Wickens will join us across from the United States. And of course, Romain Grosjean makes his return to international motorsport with Thomas Petitjean in the number 8. Timo Glock, Louis Delatraz, Johnny Edgar in the 14 machine. Eduardo Barrichello unfortunately missing this evening in the 19 car. Philippe Eng and Sebastian Job definitely ones to watch out for in the 22. Cembuluk Bashi moves into the 23 car for this event. Alexei Nesov and Patrick Holtzman now identified as Team Redline car rather than the Red Bull car that they were in 2020. Look out for the 33 of Lorenzo Colombo and Maximilian Beneke. Still very much the favourites. On page 3, Philippe Albuquerque joins us once again. Sophia Flörsch will be in the 77 car. Augusto Canapino back in the 86 after missing round 3. And Beitskevissa is the second of our female racers. Watch out for the 92 car though. Ayachan Guven and Josh Rogers. Very, very strong pairing indeed. And of course it's Ayachan's birthday today as well. And finally, the last page. Alex Bunkum has been looking good in practice. We've got Robbie Foley and Alexander Voss. Jens Klimman and Franz Schlottmann. Dylan Pereira is a new driver to join us alongside Jürgen Frank. Matt Campbell had a really good run of things in Bathurst as well, alongside Jeremy Booteloop in their Coanda car. So that is the entry list, and this is what they are racing for. Prize money and points. $1,000 for our winner. A total prize pot of $5,000. And a look, prizes all the way down to the top 30, so it is really worth continuing if you're having perhaps a little bad day or so. Points and prizes for the top 30. And not just points, but as I say, prizes as well. And we have the D-Box and Sysat systems. Thank you to our sponsors for contributing to those. They will be for the winners of our championships. epic prizes from our sponsors, and that is why we've got some amazing names both from the world of esports and the world of sim racing, and we've attracted two of the very best commentators as well. Our VCO commentator of the year, Lewis McLeod, joins us now. I just stumbled over your name. I completely forgot what you were called for 2 seconds, Lewis. Thank you very much for joining us. Are you excited to be part of the VCO Sim Series?
Oh, hugely proud. What a way to start the year. Of course, we've got the fun race, the championship race for the drivers. It's a reset button, same as for us, to get the year started in the best possible way.
Somil, you've joined us throughout the season so far. What are you looking forward to from tonight's action?
I'm just looking forward to all the strategies that we're going to have in the second race in Interlagos. It's a lovely track. It's so wide, it's so open. The kind of racing that we've seen here before in Formula 3 cars on iRacing, it's been amazing. But then to have the best drivers in the world go out there, well, that's going to be quite a fun one indeed.
And before we get to our championship race, it is the fun race time. And what a combination we have for you tonight. The Indy Pro 2000 car at Indianapolis with our pro drivers this evening. This is going to be a lot of fun. Right, cars on track then. Cars on track then, and we have an open qualifying session, and therefore 10 minutes to get your fastest lap in. And with these little cars, Lewis, the only way to get a fast lap is going to be in a slipstream.
Yeah, sub 300 brake horsepower, so they're not very powerful, but they do punch a fair hole in the air, and I think we are seeing plenty of that. Be prepared to see a lot of this throughout the rest of the qualifying session, and of course in that 20-minute race, we've got a couple of cars at the head of the field as well, just sort of staying out of it. And to be fair, in a certain degree, it may not be the best way to start a quick time, but if you're out of it, you're out of trouble.
Yeah, and of course, with the rules that we have, you're not allowed to escape back to the pits. If you have to press escape because you've damaged your car, and how easy is it going to be to damage your car around here, then you will not be able to get back out onto track. Usually, obviously, in iRacing, you could just press escape, get a fix and get back out of track, but not with our rules. We have, though, Lewis, added a fast repair to the race. That will be, if you can live back to the pits, that will be quite significant.
It would be quite significant, of course, but with a 20-minute race, you know, we're not really expecting a pit stop from them normally, so that fast repair, it's sort of more of a band-aid rather than anything major. Look at them, just 3 and 4 wide. It's absolute madness out there. And the thing is as well, we say this is the second race for the pro drivers and how important that is for them, because at the moment, I think it's Heinrich who won the second race of the season, the fun race, and so he is effectively the lead of the pro drivers in the fun race. Of course, it all comes together. But he needs a good round here if he wants to still be up there with some of the sim drivers in that championship.
Having a look at Romain Grosjean, who joins us once again after that horrific accident in Bahrain. Of course, he was part of the championship before that accident. He headed off, actually, I think we had the race, the second round, the same week as that Bahrain race. And so fantastic to see 2021, and he's already able to get behind a virtual steering wheel and pedals and participate. At the moment, he is the fastest man out on track. He has pole position.
Yeah, great time from him. He said that he was going to struggle to turn right. What a way to start the evening then. If you're turning left all night, well, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. He does have a little bandage still on his right hand, but his left hand all good. Here in the corner, Patrick Holtzman, who will be joining us for the championship race a little bit later on. Patrick, a big couple of days for you. I can see the Red Bull liveries have all disappeared from around you, and now you're a Team Redline driver. Talk us through the decision and what's happened over the last couple of days.
Yeah, hey, yeah, that was obviously a difficult call, but you know, I knew about this for like half a year already or so. You know, like the public obviously only knows for a few days, but you know, I was like, it was like I think late summer when I went to the team and I said, listen, I have intentions to maybe leave because I wanted to let them as early as I can because I have a lot of respect for them, so they have a lot of time to replace me properly. So and then yeah, getting slowly involved in red line. It was a pretty tough call because, I've been with the team for like 2.5 years, and I like them all. There's not really I can't even pinpoint a reason why I left. Maybe it's just me trying to explore something new. Finding or getting to meet new people. Just a new adventure. Really, that's all it is.
And super exciting to be joining such a legendary team as Team Redline.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have a lot of history, but so does Red Bull. I obviously have a few reasons, but both teams are great. Both teams are at the very top of sim racing. So I'm proud to be representing either one of them.
Lewis, I think we've just seen a rather large mess out on track, and it looks to me as though it was our top 4 in qualifying so far.
Yeah, Grosjean was definitely a part of that. He's been picking up a little bit of slipstream from others, but of course, with the rules that we've got here, he can't just go straight back out. He's got to sit out the session and hope that the time he's done is good enough. And to be honest, for my money, it's not really. Al Buncan was the one who set the fastest time in practice, which was a 53.8. That 54.4 is a good few tenths slower, but of course, slipstream is king around here, as we all kind of know. Just if anyone, there we go, Bitskavissa straight to the top.
Patrick, just one last thought about tonight's action. Interlagos for you. You guys have really been very, very strong in the championship so far.
Yeah, it's looking good so far. I mean, 2 podiums out of 3 races. Can't really complain about that. Still up there in the championship. So it would be nice to maintain or even improve the position, but it's going to be a difficult one. The pace is good, but it's going to be super close, and there's going to be quite a slipstream fest in the race. So it's all about placing yourself correctly and not getting involved in any incidents.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Patrick, and enjoy this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bitskavissa now has the fastest lap of our qualifying session. I think she got involved in an accident with Eduardo Barrichello just coming out of turn 2, so she's now in the pits. Some drivers, I've noticed, Lewis, have obeyed the rules. Some have gone back out again and tried to run even though they've been in the wall.
Yeah, a little bit naughty. I'm sure race control will be on them and slapping the wrist of a few. But, we're all here for a bit of fun, so hopefully it won't be too harsh. I'm looking forward to the race. And if this qualifying session is anything to go by, we're in for an absolute barnstorm, because as much as we've seen a couple of crashes, which I still think we'll see in the race, the side-by-side's been absolutely top-notch.
Yeah, but so hard, isn't it, Lewis, to run oval racing without that, with the limited perception that you have in sim races. Some guys, of course, might have triple screens. Some guys might be running VR, but with a single screen, it's so hard to know where everyone is around you.
You need to trust the in-game spotter, and sometimes that can be hard, because sometimes it says you're clear when you're absolutely not. And just knowing that and understanding that, as we see them going 3 wide into T1, Barrichello being a part of that. We see Molina as well, Ibrahim and Vervish all sort of in this little trio going side by side. Not so good for time. Like I say, that you're getting a spot, you're getting a call from your in-game spotter saying 3 wide, in the middle, 3 wide, and you just need to trust that at all times. And most importantly, which a lot of drivers don't, you need to listen to him, because if he's saying that you're 3 wide, you need to give room either way, and some drivers don't.
We're not far away from the end of the session, just 1 minute and 26 seconds. I noticed the clock's disappeared on the graphics, so we aren't far away, but it doesn't seem like we're seeing much in terms of improvements from times that were set earlier on, although I'm saying that Elias Sepinen comes across the line and moves himself up into 4th position. He is a very large group, and he's right in the middle of it.
It's huge. The thing is, the bigger the group, obviously, the more of a hole punched. And the thing is, for the drivers at the front that are going side by side, it's useless. Darting it through the inside of all of that, by the way, was Sage Karam. Wonder how much experience that he's got on ovals. Not so much. Only raced here a few times. But it's all about being at the back of the train and punching your way through it and gaining time. I actually think that Sage has gained a fair amount of time on this lap. I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to manhandle it, because the thing is once you've got the slipstream up towards T3 and 4, if you make a pass, you're then just hitting, just the brick wall of air.
Sage Karam down in 21st position right now. You'd expect more from a man that has raced at the Indianapolis 500 for real. I'm not quite sure how many starts he's had, but he's got a fair few starts. And yeah, we've also got a very blinking number one machine. That's Darren Turner. There were question marks over his internet connection, and I tell you what, that's one thing you do not want, is a car disappearing in front of you on an oval.
No, not at these speeds. Unfortunately, it's the largest sort of area where we see some sort of connection issues is on the ovals, because it's the most sort of relevant part. You need a good connection, a good stable connection here, because you're flying around so quickly and you're racing so closely as well. As we're not doing laps conducive to good lap times in the sense that we're 3 wide all the time. As Hesse, who's qualified in 3rd place, nice stuff up in that P3, and obviously the connection's not too much of an issue for Turner, who's qualified in 5th.
So, end of qualifying. Checkered flag is out. Just waiting for the cars to come across the line. There's a bit of contact. Ayşen Güven's gone for a ride. Has he come down yet? No, he hasn't. And he was trying to get himself a last-ditch attempt to get himself out of the top 10. 10th position is where Güven has qualified, just ahead of Augusto Canapino. And that is the end of the session with Beitske Visser on the pole position. She'll be very, very happy with that. She's been part of our championship so far this season, and joined last round by Sophia Flörsch to make it 2 females in our pro lineup. We don't have any in our sim lineup, but there are plenty of lady racers out there that certainly could be part of it if they would like to. So that was a very interesting qualifying session. Just a reminder that they do have a fast repair. That means if they can get themselves into the pits with damage, they can literally have all that damage fixed straight away and get back onto track. Only one of those fast repairs, therefore, so not a huge amount of time. Right, we are nearly going racing, I think. But before we do, a quick chance to have a look at the grid. Beitske Visser on the pole, Romain Grosjean 2nd, Max Heiser get himself into 3rd position, and Elias Seppänen in 4th spot. Those were late laps. Darren Turner in 5th position, new man to the championship. Welcome, Darren. Good effort. Vito Garcia in 6th. Johnny Edgar, the 15-year-old, in 7th position. Daniel Morad in 8th spot. I remember commentating on Johnny's dad. How old do I feel? Sophia Flörsch, 9th position. Ayşen Güven, 10th. Augusto Canapino in 11th. Robert Wickens, plenty of oval experience as well, 12th position, but 6/10 down. That's just all in the slipstream. Alexei Nesov, the Russian F4 driver, in 17th spot. Gustav Grinbergus, 18th. Will Stevens, the sometime Formula 1 driver and LMP driver, in 19th spot. Miguel Molina, 20th. Matt Campbell from Australia down in 21st. Mike Epps, 22nd, sometime touring car driver. Lorenzo Colombo sharing a car with Maximilian Belleke in the championship race, 23rd. Dylan Pereira, newbie from the Porsche Super Cup, 24th. Mohamed Ibrahim, 25th. Alex Alcaraz, 26th. Danny Kroos, 27th. Raul Hyman, 28th. And we continue. Fred Vivish, then Michael Schmidl, Chamberlain Bashley in 31st, Robbie Foley 32nd, sometime IMSA racer. Andy Prio joins us for the first time, 33rd, Alex Buncombe 34th, and then Richard Wagner, Jens Klimman. And we continue with our pro drivers. Timo Glock, only 37th, not a lot of sim experience on the ovals. Jimmy Broadbent, only 38th. Lauren Heinrich didn't get a lap in at all from 39th, and Philippe Eng, no time, in 40th. Wow, that last couple of drivers are going to be something to watch. Flick over to Jimmy's channel if you fancy a second screen experience, because that is going to be absolutely mega to see him carving his way through the back of the field. There'll be a rolling start in a few moments' time. A quick moment, I think, to chat to Somil, who's manning our chat. Excitement, I'm sure, Somil, from what we're seeing so far.
All the way through. Everyone is just so excited to see what happens around here. Some of the best real-world drivers out against each other in an Indy Pro 2000 car. Who would have imagined that in the real world? But we have it right here, and it promises to be a fun one, if not chaotic.
What's the chat saying, Somil?
The chat is just looking forward to it. We're expecting quite a bit of carnage. That's the common consensus around here. But hopefully the drivers do not disappoint and they end up giving quite a fun one.
Onto the back straight then. The truck will lead them around. You are allowed, interestingly, to overtake before the start line on the outside line, but you can't go down the inside and overtake any positions. That is the rules on the ovals. So you have to go round the long way around. Darren Turner's still flicking on and off. That's due to his internet connection and not sending the data to the server and to the other cars. So that's going to be really tricky for everyone around him to know where he is and to kind of predict where he is. Basically, what's happening is the game is doing the predicting. Look at the flood of cars. This is a fun race, but there is prizes for it. And we're getting ready to go racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in their little Pro 2000 cars on the ladder to IndyCar itself. Looks like Bajtskevisa might have put down the throttle already. It's difficult to know if we're accelerating or not, to be fair, because they're not that fast. But I think we are going racing. The green flag is flying. Bajtskevisa leads over the line ahead of Romain Grosjean, and they've all managed to make it at least across the stripe and into turn one for the first time. Grosjean goes to the outside of Bajtskevisa. Max Hasser and Enes Seppänen are there. And where's Darren Turner trying to get into the mix of things? He's kind of there and kind of not. In 6th, 7th position right now.
Oh my goodness me, look at that, they're almost bum drafting. That's Seppänen on the back of Romain Grosjean into 3 and 4. They're 4 wide behind all of this. Ian Changuven as well a part of that, from 10th place up to 5th on the start as well. My goodness me, there's a bit of blinking as well. That would be Turner. Oh, and just avoiding a crash as well.
Changuven from 10th position up to 5th. Got a fantastic slipstream down the back straight. He is one of those 4 white cars, and it's Darren Turner who's being shuffled back. We've got a car in the barrier further back. That's going to cause a huge accident in the mid-pack. Somehow, the likes of Philippe Eng has got to get through that unscathed. Who was it that caused the accident at the back? At least most of them are actually nearly in the pit, so they can get themselves that free pass. It was the car at the back of the field that caused the spin. Let's have a look at it again, Lewis. Oh, that's way... that's not a replay at all. That's them recovering. Here we go then. Who was it? Just got a little loose in 3. It's Sophia Flörsch. She then settles the car, and I think she might get put off by Darren Turner coming across her here.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. And then, yeah, it loses the rear end, and then this absolute carnage ensues just as everyone's trying to avoid the other one. The car becomes quite loose if you're quite aggressive with the steering, as you'd expect. You need to be as smooth as possible. Involved in this, though, we've got Heinrich, we've got Jimmy Broadbent as well. I think Lauren Heinrich is out of this race. Phil Eng as well, part of all of this. Absolute carnage. No yellows as well.
Nobody actually hit. Nobody hit Bajtskevisa. As we go 4 wide over the stripe, 3 behind, 7 cars. Oh. It was going to happen. Big contact. And unfortunately, I think Romain Grosjean was part of that. He descends, as was Will Stevens, Matt Campbell. Whoa! Where did he go?
Oh my goodness me. Sent to space. Off he goes.
Now, I didn't think it was going to be good to lead from the front. But at the moment, Bajtskevisa is still surviving this race. She runs side by side with Robert Wickens, who's up to P2. And now Robbie Wickens takes the lead of the race. So Wickens, I think, is the one on the outside line in the orange machine. And then you've got Visser and Seppänen are the 2 other cars in this lead group. It's now a bit calmer. We've got half the field either in the pits or retired out of the race. But a nice little battle and a safe battle, Lewis, for the top 3 right now.
Yeah, it's not safe anywhere back, but that's absolutely right. If you can avoid the carnage, an oval is all about playing the long game. It's all about being there at the checkered flag more so than any other style of racing. And I was thinking this before the race, is that of all of the races we're doing this season, of all of the fun races, of all the championship races, this is the hardest race to win because you're relying on luck, on skill, on patience, and on timing.
A little bit of contact there between Augusto Canapino and Darren Turner as Darren disappeared and then came back again. Side-by-side contact, which meant Augusto got out the throttle and survived. It's Ayhan Guven who holds the very inside line in the white machine at the moment, and he has got Alex Buncombe trying to get around the outside. But look, this is the problem. Whoa. Flat out, Buncombe just picking them off. Oh, beautiful stuff from Buncombe. But now he hits the front and he'll suddenly be slower. He'll get himself up to what is P4 right now, but now he's creating the slipstream for everybody else, and it's getting slightly free. Ayhan Guven on the inside line with Canapino pushing him along the stripe, and Guven still holding that tight inside line forcing everyone to go around the outside of him at the very least. And it kind of seems to be working right now, Lewis.
Yeah, in spite of the technical issues as well for Turner as well, massively a part of all of this. There goes Buncombe again. Oh, picking up slipstream. Away he goes. 3 wide though into 3, and he's on the outside. And a car with this little power, I don't think it's really going to work for him. Look at how high he stays, almost up in the marbles. If that was an Indy car, he'd be in the barrier. But thankfully, we're not going fast enough, so it's all right.
Yeah, not providing more grip than power, unlike the IndyCar itself, and therefore they can pretty much be anywhere they like on the track, providing epic entertainment. And we've only 5 minutes into this race. We've got another 15 minutes of this. We've still got a lot of cars that now come back onto the track. So a lot taking their fast repair, and there's a spinner. Oh no, Daniel Morad, I think, spun around to cause that one, and he did collect. Canapino, I think it was, he collected, and Canapino's reset back to the pits straight away.
Rob Wickens, by the way, from the top trio, has been involved in an incident. I don't know if that was quite all we caught there, but he is involved in an incident and dropped down to the pit lane, missing a couple of wheels, and is completely out of it.
Yes, you're right. That was Robert Wickens. So he was fighting with Visser and Seppänen, and they have now. He's now disappeared out of that group. So at the moment, it's just 2 for the lead of the race right now. Ignore Alex Buncombe. He's not in the mix of things. Graphics are playing funny things. But it's Visser and Seppänen. They're 2 together. 4 seconds ahead of Louis Delatraz, who now leads the second group. And we've got a couple of back markers playing around here with our leaders. And that's kind of scary for me.
It's where the big strategy in this sense in battling is coming from. It. Look at Seppänen as well, who's just on the back of Bitskivitsa, was pushing down the start-finish straight. I think might have pulled back out and gone back into it to try and just basically move up the order. They're going side by side into T3 for the race lead. Bitskivitsa's on the outside, is going to depose, go backwards rather behind Seppänen. But yeah, you're absolutely right. With everything going on behind, with all the traffic being a part of this, it's a tense moment, even in a fun race.
Remarkably, Jimmy Broadbent up to 9th position after being involved in that first lap accident. So he managed to get himself into the pits and get a fast repair, and now surviving carnage. He's 44 seconds back, so he's nearly a lap behind. We've got 14 cars only on the lead lap. But great to have Jimmy up in the top 10 and learning that it's, as you've said already, it's not about pace necessarily. It's about patience. Here's Robert Wickens. This is what happened to him. Oh, he just got elbowed. And I think that's a back marker as well.
I think it was, because there was only 3 of them, and there was obviously 4 in that shot. So it was 3 for the lead. I'm not sure if there was any sort of connection involved in there. Or he was just on the outside. They were 3 wide, and they came together on the inside. And unfortunately, when you crash on an oval, there's only one direction it really goes, and that is up the circuit. So being on the outside is actually a really dangerous place to be when lapping. You always want to lap on the inside. Look at 2011 Indy 500 with Dan Weldon. When he won that race, it was because I can't remember who it was now. Went around the outside of a back marker into T4 and straight up into the wall. I think it was Hildebrand.
Battle for the P3 here between 3 cars, but how many have we got? 7 involved there. So there are slipstreams being provided by cars that are not in that battle. There's Darren Turner disappearing and reappearing. Just imagine if you're the car behind him, not knowing where he is. Horrible. Darren, I don't think will be joining us for the championship race because his connection is a bit dodgy. Darren, of course, runs base performance simulators, so presumably not in his office tonight because he'll be locked at home due to UK COVID regulations. But he would have had a much better connection and a bigger screen to look at had he been at base performance and been able to look at his own big simulator rather than his little home one. But it's great to have Darren with us, and really cool to see him running at the sharp end of the field and amazingly staying out of trouble. I wonder if he's staying out of trouble because he's invisible.
I would argue that it would help. There's certainly some part of it that would form a bit of an assistance there, as these 2 are still stuck together with 3 back markers in behind. If you're a back marker in this scenario, I don't know how you would want to play it, but I'd almost be sat there being like, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm just going to sit here in the slipstream and just sort of enjoy the race from my angle. It's all you can do in the scenario. But I know some drivers will be like, I'm going to get myself involved and just get my get my hands dirty and get involved. What
we need to see is the nose cam from Bitskivitsa, because I'm a little bit I think she might be doing some bump drafting with the gearbox of the car in front. And if you get that wrong, it can be an almighty shunt. At the moment, she hasn't, and Seppinen is leading the race. But here is the nose cam, and look how close she is. Now she goes to the inside line, so she's deciding to make that move with 10 minutes remaining. But I thought she was just playing the patient game and just sitting behind. She's now decided to go for it, and perhaps she's got a friend here that she can then try and drag away from Seppinen using a back marker.
Yeah, I'm looking just at licenses, of course. In iRacing, we've all got safety rating licenses and stuff. And with Bitskevitsa at the moment, it's rookie 2.5. And what that says to me is that she's not done an oval race in iRacing. And I'm not going to lie, to start out your career going side by side for a race victory with this many drivers as well. Hardest race to win of the year, potentially, even on the first couple of days. But doing sensational stuff. And look at this, dropping it down to the inside on a back marker, like I say, to try and get some air.
Darren Turner, P4 now, with Robbie Foley it's not part of this battle. There's now only two in this battle, Louis Delatraz and Darren Turner. There are, how many in that? 4 or 5 cars in that battle? There is Darren Turner in the number 1. Excuse us if he disappears. We've got 22 in there. So Timo Glock is playing around in that little group. He's 16th position, Timo. We don't get a chance to see too much of Timo Glock because he's never really at the sharp end, but he's one of the forefathers of VCO ProSim Series. Great to have him with us, and it looks like he's enjoying his oval experience right now, but fingers crossed he doesn't cause any incident, because at the moment, this battle, well, they're 30 seconds clear of the next car behind.
Yeah, they're doing what they can. Here's doing what they can. 3 wide. That is for the race lead and a back marker as well. Visser on the inside of Seppinen as we run through 4, but also getting involved, all those drivers in behind. It's absolute manic stuff. And the thing is, with the back markers being involved, I was going to say this with the Timo Glock one, is that, yes, sure, he's a lap down, but he's also battling for position in himself. So it's sort of like, how do you balance that one? Oh, that's a little bit of a pinch.
3 wide. That's very, very close. Now, I don't know who the other cars are. We don't necessarily get a chance to see these liveries too much before the race, but we've got 5 cars in this 2-car lead battle with 3 other machines. I'm speculating one of them is Sophia Flörsch, but I'm not entirely sure.
It is indeed Sophia Flörsch. Vervish as well, I think it's the other one.
It is? Okay. Vervish is in there too. And then there's a 5th one as well.
I'm not sure who the 5th one is, but I can tell you that one of them is Flörsch, and the other one's Vish. I think it's Edgar is the other one, what I can see.
Johnny Edgar, 15 years old. Very, very successful line of karting heritage in the UK. Johnny Edgar comes from. I remember when he was born, I think, which is even worse. And that in many a kart race. And great to have Johnny with us this evening. Unfortunately, getting caught up in accidents earlier on, 25th position down there. The chat has spoken, and Wickens was hit by a lapped car. As we now welcome Pablo Lopez to the broadcast, looking and prepping for the race later on. Pablo, how are you feeling about being part of this epic championship?
I'm really proud for being part of this championship. I'm also feeling good with my partner, Mike Epps. The race today will be a hard one with all the drafts, and we look forward for a really nice battle all the way from the first one till the last one.
Are you enjoying the selection of single-seater cars that we are throwing up for you? Obviously, last time out, the new Dallara IR01 to race for the first time, and a chance to race single-seaters when high-end, you don't get a chance so often.
Yeah, I love the new Dallara as well, and I love this format of fixed setup and against the best of the best in the sim racing and real world. So it's just a really good show, and I enjoy it a lot.
And how are you working with Mike, trying to get him up to speed and trying to maximise his performance? Because, of course, that's all part of this championship race to make sure, as a team, you're the fastest.
Yeah, the thing is, we don't have a lot of time to practice together because he is the reserve driver of Sete Camara, my normal partner, but he can't make it today. But with Mike is just perfect. He is really fast, and I have nothing to say about his skills. He is just about the same pace as me, so I am really proud of it to have him as a partner, and I just expect to be able to give him a good and clean car for today's second stint.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the race in Interlagos, and thank you very much for joining us, Pablo.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Mike Epps in a battle for 6th position between Jimmy Broadbent and Gustav Grimbergas. They're only 3 seconds back from Ayhan Guven in 5th, but Lewis, a change at the head of the field.
Yeah, somehow Louis Delatraz has decided that I'm going to slipstream up to this lot and start getting involved. That's the blue and green car that you can see on the outside, constantly picking the outside line. Just basically stayed out of trouble. That's Sophia Flörsch on the inside, so it's not actually for position, going to drop back into position just behind it. But the next car back, that is Sepanen. So they're all like very tricky and tight, but somehow, whilst they've all been battling through back markers, Louis Delatraz is dragged his way up to the front end of the field, 4.5 minutes on the clock, and is very much a part of this, pushing Sophia Flörsch through.
No sign of Darren Turner anymore, flicking internet connections, but down in 24th position now.
Yeah, I did pick up on what happened there. Unfortunately, someone blew an engine right in front of him, and he had nowhere to go. And just got a part of that.
Oh. Presumably these engines are running pretty hard in terms of the gearing, because they're only little 2-litre engines and not producing a lot of horsepower. They must be right on the rev limit.
They'll be up there. They shouldn't be like too much when it comes to engine wear and stuff. Like, I wouldn't expect the engine to just pop by itself. What I am assuming is that he has accidentally hit either a downshift button on the, because it was on the exit of T2, or the car in front rather, hit a downshift button on the exit of T2, or maybe even hit neutral and then panicked and went straight up to first gear in the engine. Not a fan of that. 3 wide on the back straight away though was, I think that's Sepanen going around the outside. Oh, they're 4 wide as well with Flörsch on the inside.
Yeah, she's really showing that she can run with the best of them, Flörsch. Unfortunately getting caught up in that accident of her own making, to be fair, at turn 4 on, was it lap 1 or 2? But having managed to set the reset button, she's sitting in 12th position, exactly 1 lap down, and in this battle for the lead. 3 of those cars are in the battle for the lead. The other 3 are kind of playing and providing a slipstream, and they are 30 seconds to the good of Robbie Foley, who's having a bit of a lonely race in 4th position. He's 11 seconds ahead of Ayhan Guven. Then there's the battle for 6th between Grimbergas, Broadbent and Mike Epps. And then a bit of a gap. Romain Grosjean back up to 9th position and fighting with Lorenzo Colombo and Miguel Molina right now. So it seems like they've all kind of partnered up into, they could just about cope with 3 cars only.
And I don't blame them, because even 3 cars is hard to keep track of. You don't want to be going 3 wide too much. It's very hard as Delatraz gets pushed back to the front by Sepanen, who's now got Visser on the inside as we run through 3 and 4. Delatraz back to the race lead. 3 minutes left on the clock. They're going to be side by side, and I reckon, Ben, that we are going to see them coming across the line in a very photo finish.
These are the only 3 cars, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lewis, that haven't pitted. The 3 for the lead are the only ones that have managed to avoid the pit lane, and most of the rest of the field have at least done 1 stop and used their fast repair. Some have done more.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure about Foley, but yeah, I think he's just taken his a lot earlier than everyone else's. Everyone else has been in the pit lane. These 3 have done very well when it comes to keeping out of trouble. Obviously, Visser started from the pole. Sepanen started from 4th place. Louis Delatraz, though, has come from 14th. And moved his way up, just sort of dodged all of the absolute chaos. Maybe got a little bit lucky in all of that. But, you know, from this point on, it's not luck that decides the race winner realistically. You've got to time it perfectly. And look at this, just picking the slipstream up off of 3 and 4, going to the inside and coming across the line. As that was so beautifully timed by Louis Delatraz. And if he does that at the end of the race in 2 laps' time, he could be looking at a race win.
And you do hear about this in NASCAR, not necessarily so much in IndyCar, but finding partners that you can trust to work with rather than fight with. And it does seem like Visser and Sepanen have really been working with each other. There hasn't been a lot of overtaking. And now Delatraz sits on the inside line. And look, Sepanen is pushing Visser forward. I'm sure there's connection between the two of them. Amazing that works. You can see there Elias and Beitska in the top right-hand corner. They look relatively relaxed. I tell you what, my heart would be absolutely pumping to the max if I was in this race, knowing that there's the possibility of victory with just 33 seconds on the clock. Delatraz to the outside, and he's the interloper here. He hasn't been playing with these two for the rest of the race. He's got some back markers that he might be able to attract some help from, and of course that would be very, very useful for him, because the back markers don't really care where they finish. But with the two leaders working together at the moment, Delatraz in third, right away back. But as they come onto the back straight, he'll pick up that big slipstream, and all that matters is who's over the line first, and we're on the last lap.
Yeah, if I'm Delatraz right now, I'm really happy. They're going to be on the inside at 3. This could be perfect, because he's going to get such a large punch in that slipstream from Visser and Sepanen.
Here we go then, through the final couple of turns. Visser still leads, Sepanen being pushed by, and Louis Delatraz being sandwiched, and he's got a car to the outside. He goes to the inside line, and now Visser is slow off the last turn. It's coming across the line, and who is it going to be? Is it going to be Delatraz? It's a long way to the line. Oh, it's so close. Visser, it says. Visser ahead of Sepanen and Delatraz, and now it changes, and I'm not sure that graphic was right. I'm pretty sure it was Delatraz who got it by 0.01 of a second over Sepanen. And Visser, in the end, after leading the whole of the last lap, ending up in third position. It was always going to be, if you led on the first lap, you really didn't want to be in that spot. We've got a lot of cars still to come across the line, though. That was only the top 3. 27 seconds back, we're waiting for 4th position. Robbie Foley now over the line in 4th. Ayachan Guven is the next man across the line, but there's battle still going on all the way around the circuit. Jimmy Broadbent in 6th, Epps 7th. Yeah, and they come across the line. Grimbergus, Broadbent, Epps in that order. Romain Grosjean over the line in 9th spot, and Lorenzo Colombo rounds out the top 10. Miguel Molina in 11th position. Then Vavish and Flörsch, and I think that's pretty much everybody now across the line.
What a finish by Louis Delatraz, though. Like you say, 1,000 per second, super tight, perfectly timed.
Perfectly timed, as you say. Very unlucky for Beitska, who ran so well. In the end, losing out on the slipstream battle to the flag. She could have chosen a different partner, I guess, in a back marker. That might have helped. Foley in 4th, a lonely race for the American. Ayachan Guven, the Turkish driver, probably hasn't done much over racing. 5th spot for him, ahead of Gustav Grimbergus, Jimmy Broadbent, Mike Epps. Great to have Jimmy up in top 7. He's going to be loving that. And Romain Grosjean gets a top 10 on his return, ahead of Lorenzo Colombo. Not many managed to get across the line on the lead lap. Miguel Molina, 11th, the last man to do so. Then it was Vavish, Flörsch, Daniel Morad, Danny Kroos, Dylan Pereira, his first time out, 16th spot. Alexei Nesov, Robert Wickens, unfortunately, down in 19th by the end. He was right up in the sharp end of things in the early part of the race. Will Stevens in 21st. Johnny Edgar dropped down to 22nd after visiting the pits the second time. Darren Turner was up there and unfortunately got caught out 24th in the end. Sage Karam, the Indy specialist, 4 laps down, 25th spot. Timo Glock 27th. Augusto Canapino 29th. And the pace setter in practice at Buncombe 30th only, 11 laps down. These are the guys that really took a pounding at the start. Marcello Chamberlain Bashi. We lost Eduardo Barrichello. We lost Matt Campbell. Andy Prio, sadly. Lauren Heinrich and Philippe Eng was the first man to retire out of the race. And therefore, no points for Eng. He was looking, and Lauren Heinrich, who were looking so strong in the Fun Race Championship after the first round. Because the first round was relatively sensible, and ever since we've just got more and more crazy with our fun races, and we promised to continue to do that for you because it's entertainment. It's real entertainment. Right, so let's get back to the studio, and we've got a very special guest to chat to this evening. Very, very happy to chat once again to one of our favourites here at VCO, Romain Grosjean. Romain, congratulations on top 10 around Indy. How about that?
Well, it's, it started pretty well. It was P2 in qualifying, and then I was running first, but then we tried 4 wide in turn 1, and that was never going to happen. So pretty cool finish. Happy for Louis de Letrade, won the race. He's following that from further back, but pretty cool event, yeah. I mean, qualifying was a bit, driving on your own was a bit boring, but the race was quite cool.
And how different is it racing around an oval compared to doing a circuit race? What are some mental changes you have to make?
It's all about strategy, and I basically had no idea which strategy I was going to attack, because I've never done ovals. But it was quite interesting to see, play with the slipstream and then the pushing of the straight and so on. And really, it was good fun. So I enjoyed it, and obviously now it's going to be a bit different driving the Formula 3 car. I'm going to go and follow what Thomas Petitjean is doing, and as I say, I'm not fully yet ready. My left hand is not doing well driving wise, but I drive with the right hand, and I just wanted to come tonight.
Are you driving one-handed then around Interlagos? You've been campaigning for that track all week. You wanted to go there.
Yeah, there's a touch less corners than Austin and less speed bump, which I was worried for my hand. So that's why I pushed for that. But I think it's quite cool. I think playing with the fans and asking them the support on social media and so on. It's a great way to generate content for the event. And as I say, I find it's very, very professional the way it's done, and I like it, and that's why I really wanted to be here tonight.
Yeah, it's super cool to have you, and Happy New Year, by the way, and I'm glad you're enjoying your racing. Thank you very much for joining us, Romain Grosjean. And from one man in Switzerland, we don't have to go very far to our winner from the fun race there, because I think Louis de Letrade is probably only a couple of kilometres away from where Romain lives, and I'm only about 70. So we're having a bit of a French-Swiss love-in going on. Sorry, Louis, our other Louis, Lewis McGlade. Whilst we wait for Louis de Letrade to log in, it might have been fun, but it was really super entertaining, Lewis.
It was a super tight way to end the race. And of course, the thing is going into the championship race, you don't want to be making enemies in the fun race. And I hope that in the chaos that we had, that no one did, and we can go into the championship race expecting more fun.
Well, Louis de Letrade has been winning everything in 2020. Victor in the 24-hour virtual. And now, Louis, you can put a virtual Indy 500 win on your list of things. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a good one. We really enjoyed it, actually. I didn't expect to win, but Rafael and Marcello, who was lap, gave me a little help to come back, and in the end was quite close.
Yeah, you started, 14th position. So to get yourself a victory with Beitske basically leading from the front the whole way, that was pretty hard work. How did you manage to do it? So,
yeah, we started 14th. You just had to stay alive, I think, that race first to try to win it. And in the end, it just came back together. I was 4th or something without a slipstream. Rafael was lap. He said, okay, I'm going to try to bring you back in the lead pack. And we're good friends. We won Le Mans last year together, the virtual one. So he said, I'm going to give you a little help. And then, brought me back in the lead pack. Just that lap, his engine blew up from overheating, I guess, because he just kept pushing me. And then I just made the job and tried, to be in a good position in the last corner, use the draft and come alongside, and it worked. But yeah, I had no idea if it would or not.
Absolutely awesome. Louis de Letrade, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on the fun race. It's championship race time now, and the serious stuff begins. Interlagos, Dallara, F3.
Thank you.
Cars heading out onto circuit. And whilst they get themselves warmed up, let's quickly head over to Somil, who's been manning and monitoring the chat. How was it through the Indy 500 Pro 2000 race? I imagine going mental.
Yeah, mental is probably the best word to describe all of that. During the finish, everyone was literally on their toes, even though they may just be chatting with us virtually. The drama that was just existing in the chat after seeing that sort of a close finish, well, it was just mind-blowing. And from the looks of things, everyone is pumped up for the Formula 3 race that we're going to have here at Interlagos. The second sector, Ben, that could be quite a bit of a problem early on, and with the new upgrades coming in too, drivers might just find it slightly easier to warm up their tires for qualifying, because now iRacing have upgraded and modified things around that makes it easier to warm up the tires before their qualifying run. So that potentially could be a bit of a plus.
And in terms of reaction to having Romain Grosjean back in the championship and seeing him finish in top 10?
Oh yeah, it's very heartwarming. So many people coming in and letting people know of their emotions of seeing Romain Grosjean back in there, because that accident that he had, a very frightening one that got everyone very worried about him. And the fact that only a couple of months afterwards, he's right here, he's racing with us. Although it's only just a left-hand oval race that we had right here, it's still so heartwarming then. And everyone in the chat is literally sharing the same emotion. It's just so pleasing to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic to have Romain with us once again. And he is teammate to Thomas Petitjean, who is now the first opportunity to see our Sim Pro drivers in qualifying. They will do qualifying and then the first stint of our championship race. And then at around 20 to 30 minutes, we'll then see pit stops and we will get the pro drivers, the real world drivers, into the car for the second stint of the race. That's how it's going to work out today around this pretty short Interlagos track, Lewis, but a place that does allow you to overtake.
Oh, it's so good. Around the back end of the circuit, you've got so many places to overtake, and even if you're brave, you can do quite a lot in the middle part as well. Slipstream, though, once again, as we saw in Indianapolis on the oval, in that sense, almost no different. We're going to see that play a huge part in this open qualifying session. And maybe you want a car ahead of you to pull you along. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to be by yourself and make sure that no one's messing up your laps. It's a busy track out there.
On board then with Sebastian Job, the 2020 Porsche Super Cup champion, but that gets all reset now because they soon will be into their 2021 season. Quite an early finish for the Super Cup this year, and he comes across the line now. We're starting to see the lap times tick through. Look, about a 90-second lap, and Sebastian Job just fractionally behind his teammate at Red Bull, Graham Carroll. Lots of real-world experience Graham Carroll used to have at Formula Ford and the Walter Hayes Trophy winner, but very much focusing over the last 5-6 years on sim racing, and now isn't really a real world racer anymore. He may well have qualified to be a real world racer about 5-6 years ago, but Graham very much now a pro racer with another man that basically could be either as well. Lauren Heinrich has lots of sim experience as well as racing in the Carrera Cup Deutschland. And Lewis, he's a very interesting character, Lauren Heinrich, because he really wants to be a man that does both. He wants to effectively emulate what VCO stands for and be a sim and a pro driver at the same time.
Yeah, perfect candidate for the series because it's a driver, like you say, that jumps between both. Incredibly talented, not only in real life but in the sim world as well, and can really mess it with a lot of the big name drivers. Maybe we won't see him battling so much with Beneke too much when it comes to speed, but the thing is, when it comes to consistency, when it comes to that, right at the top of the pro driver field, and there's no doubt that he is one of the strongest contenders on this field. We'll wait and see when he gets into the car as to how he feels. Of course, for him, almost a little bit more pressure on his shoulders. Championship leader is teammate Graham Carroll in the sim standing, so that's almost like a little bit more pressure on the shoulders. See how that one plays out.
Yeah, now Graham Carroll, I think, is supposed to be teammate to Stoffel Vandoorne, who was never going to be able to make the first couple of rounds. We've got quite a few pro drivers, unfortunately, missing from this race, 2nd of January. Still very much on holiday. Max Verstappen sends his regards from the Brazilian rainforest, I think somebody told me earlier. So Bruno Spengler missing from the partnership with him and Martin Kroenke. That's been a very potent partnership. So new names to help some of more established names, but I think at the head of the field it'll be the same people that we have seen over the last couple of rounds, and it's Aycan Guven and Joshua Rogers. So Josh Rogers aboard that car, who have the pole position right now by a tenth and a half, and Josh Rogers round 2 winner at the Bathurst circuit, Australian by descent, but now lives in Germany in the Coanda SimSport house. But it is kind of a big, long train of cars, isn't it, Lewis? So I imagine a bit further back, as long as you haven't been compromised in the middle of the lap, you could be benefiting from a nice slipstream.
Oh, huge. You don't want to be like too close to the car, because as much as these aren't super high downforce, you will be getting a fair amount of dirty air and a bit of push going through that sort of central part of the circuit. So you don't really want to be too close, as Job sticks it back up into second. El Gharbi goes up onto pole. Wow, there we go. So we're getting some fast times coming in as this sort of track's progressing a little bit. Maybe some people are getting into some a bit cleaner air. Look at this from El Gharbi, like actually quite far off the back of the next car. So a little bit of clean air there and not being hindered in that central part of the section, whilst getting some decent slipstream up the hill from Jinchao.
Yeah, I wonder whether he actually made a pass there on the number 30 car on that lap along from the penultimate corner to allow him a bit of a slingshot into turn 1 and that extra just couple of hundredths, because it's hundredths between everybody right now. Elderbe on pole position, Sandri Santes, who will partner with Murka Bortolotti, second position, but just 200ths back from that. Then it's Sebastian Job in third. Alejandro Sanchez has had a really good run of things, but not necessarily the greatest luck. Fourth position for him. Chris Lullen, who shares with Cem Bullet-Bassi, that's going to be a good partnership. He was sixth a second ago, seventh now, because the laps are starting to click through once again with just 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Josh Rogers now back on the pole position. Alejandro Sanchez and Matt Backham third. Jeremy Bootley, Coanda force out at the moment, and Martin van Loosenord now comes across the line. He is a Romain Grosjean R8G Esports driver. Third position for Martin. Hasn't really shown a great sense of speed in the F3 races, and he's got Alex Buncombe as teammate this time by. He was partnered with Tony Kanaan in the first couple of races. No sign of Tony today, but he was better in the fun race than we've seen him in the championship race. So he's obviously put some laps in the F3 car and feeling a bit more comfortable. Here's Aycan Guven and Josh Rogers' car, and again, not a massive amount of people around them. Perhaps it's good, perhaps it's better, actually, contrary to what everybody thinks, to be in clear air, Lewis.
Yeah, as long as you're far enough back, you're in sort of like the punching range of the slipstream, so you're still getting that little bit. You're still gaining a couple of tenths. I believe it might be one of his teammates as well. Up ahead, it is indeed. It's Mac Backham. Picking up a little bit of slipstream, but not being too close to be put off, to be in the dirty air. And for Rogers and for Aycan Guven, they need a good round here, because they didn't do so well in Suzuka. I believe they got a penalty as well. But they ended up finishing 11th place on the road. It's dropped Rogers right down in the championship, who going into Suzuka was second in the sim standings. So they need a good round here to really sort of secure that position.
Yeah, absolutely do. Halfway into the championship, plenty of rounds to make up that gap and deficit, and there's no doubt that we'll still see plenty of chaos across the remaining 4 races that we have in the VCO ProSim Series. From now until the end of March, we have a bit of a staggered format for our championships. We'll be going back to Wednesday evenings as well, bit of a different one for this Saturday night slot on the 2nd of January. But we will be going back to our traditional Wednesdays for the remaining 4 rounds. And as I say, the next one, seem to remember, is late January, and then we move on to we go to the 31st of March, which is the final round. But I think VCO have got some plans to do a few other things during January, especially with most of the country, most of the world going back into lockdown. We are now checkered flag out. So these are the last laps for everybody. Joshua Rogers still has the pole position. We now watch Jeremy Booteloop, who is P2 right now, a 10th behind, unbelievably. Booteloop not with anybody around to slipstream. I wonder whether this is going to be a better lap from Boutaloop. I don't think it will be, looking at the timing screens. Matt Backham improves up to 6th position, however, just ahead of them. Over the line he comes, and in fact Boutaloop loses a position to Alejandro Sanchez. So Sanchez up to 2nd spot, Boutaloop drops to 3rd, and Beneke, who we haven't spoken at all about, pops himself up into 3rd position. So it wasn't looking very strong for Maximilian Beneke throughout that whole qualifying session, but right at the end, right at the death, he gets himself up to 4th. Thomas Petitjean! God, it's a good night for Grosjean and Petitjean. They are,
Yeah,
I didn't realise that's the rhyming. Petitjean 2nd.
Fantastic lap right at the end, and you know what a better time to put it in, right at the death of it. Only 300ths as well behind Josh Rogers. So, I mean, I would put that in my portfolio of laps completed in sim racing. Only a few hundredths behind someone of that stature at the early point of 2021. What a way to start!
I've just realised something. Thomas Petitjean, if you translate petit, it means small, and Jean is a name. And gros means big, and Jean is a name. So you've got Thomas Small Jean and Romain Big Jean, his teammates. So that's cracked me up. That's a good. That's a great way to start the year.
Read into that what you will.
Well, I think it makes sense. I can't believe it's been 3 rounds and I haven't picked up on that. I suppose Romain hasn't been with us for a couple of races, but still, that's amused me a lot. My French wife will love that. Right, checker flag is out. Cars going back into the pits, all being very, very well behaved and driving their cars back into pit lane. Let's have a look at the qualifying results then. Right, Goodwin and Rogers on the pole. Grosjean and Petitjean in 2nd position. Ibrahim and Sanchez 3rd. Colombo and Beneke in 4th position. Then Campbell and Boutaloop, Eng and Job only 6th. Grimbergus and Usgaard 7th. Bunkum and Van Loosnord 8th position. Hyman and Ludding 9th. Karam and Backham only 10th spot. Not a great day so far for those two. Nessum and Holtzman only 11th spot. They've really struggled in qualifying, done better in races. Watch them coming through. Danny Kroos and Libet 12th. Foley and Voss 13th. Visser and Koch in 14th position. Alcaraz and Kronke in 15th. That's the car that usually has Bruno Spengler in it. Molina and Elgabe down to 16th in the end. Didn't improve on that early time. Garcia and Schlottel 17th. Bortolotti and Setas down to 18th. They didn't improve. But look, just 0.3 of a second down to 18th spot. Canapino and Trogan 19th. Heinrich and Carroll only in 20th spot. But only 3.5 tenths down. Bulabashi and Lollam 21st. Sepanen and Kashub 22nd. Edgar and Marceno 23rd. Pereira and Jürgen Frank 24th spot. Half a second back. Prio and Kruger in 25th. Vavish and Mangan in 26th. Wickens and Andre 27th. And Delatraus and Butcher 28th. Survival in those early laps for these guys. Epps and Lopez 29th. Glock and Kurtz 30th. Wagner and Weiss in 31st. Will Stevens and Burkay in 32nd position. Then Morad, Goebel, Marcello and Arana. They will be improving from down in 34th. Philpott, Nemeth, and then Eduardo Barrichello and Lapcha. Heiser and Densler. Smood and Broadbent. And Broadbent 38th. Flörsch and Veninger. And then Klingman and Schlottmann in 40th position. Just a few more cars. It's a long old grid. It's going to be a very busy race. Philippe Albuquerque and Phil Denez in 41st and last. Old Philippe has been... I don't know if that's the same teammate as he had before, Lewis, but Albuquerque's been a bit rude about his teammates so far. He's struggled to part the people that are fast enough for him, but and now he's starting at the very tail end of the field. So, Graham Carroll and Lauren Heinrich only mid-pack. That's kind of the story of that qualifying session, isn't it?
Yeah, 20th place, whilst Beneke's qualified up in 4th place. When there's no points between Beneke and Carroll in the championship standings on the sim side of things, that's just not good enough. You say it was only 3 tenths off. The entire 40-car qualified grid was separated by 1.2 seconds. I know it's a short lap, but how frustrating would that be?
I wonder how the chat has been talking about what's going on, let's get over to Somil, who's been monitoring our YouTube chat, and do get involved and chat to Somil, who's on there for you guys. What's been the reaction to qualifying, Somil?
Qualifying, the reaction has been quite fun. Everyone has been just guessing who's going to be the one, and eventually, of course, we saw Guven and Rogers locking it up at the top of the grid. It's going to be a bit of a draft fest, Ben. Everyone is pumped up for that, but more importantly, everyone is so happy about Grosjean. We discussed that the last time out, but it's still, yet again, everyone is just so happy to see Romain, such a likable figure, of course, back on the grid here today.
Yeah, and also P9 in Indy. A bit of a surprise to see him up with Thomas Petitjean P2.
Exactly, people were quite happy to see that, and they also took quite well to the Grosjean Petitjean joke that he cracked out there. That's been having a bit of a positive reaction on the chat.
Oh, I'm glad. I mean, it wasn't a joke; it's actual fact. But it tickled me on this Saturday night.
It has been causing quite the conversations up in the YouTube chat, but no, on a serious note, everyone is just so pumped up. Seeing all these messages, seeing everyone so excited, and, at this stage, there's just no real idea. I mean, we could end up seeing Guven and Rogers recovering after a rather tricky Suzuka, and then we have so many other competitors right there behind too. It's just going to be so much fun.
It is. The cars are heading out onto circuit, getting ready for round 4 of our championship race. A 2-driver event, 45-minute race with a pit stop in the middle, transitioning from our sim drivers to our real-world drivers in the second half of this round 4. Round 4 of an 8-round championship, and we are using, of course, iRacing as our platform, an incredibly diverse platform for all of your racing needs. And every 13 weeks, more cars and more tracks get released, and iRacing continues to expand and entertain all of us. And it's a fantastic product. So a big thank you to all those guys at iRacing to provide us with the ability to do this. Lewis, predictions for this championship race, especially the clarification on the pit stop window, because that caused a lot of penalties and problems in Suzuka last time out.
Yeah, there's been a tiny sort of a 3-second addition to the window. It's not so much that you should be using that 3 seconds. It's just sort of a little bit to alleviate some of the issues that we saw last time. Because obviously, I think Beneke pitted literally on the mark when it came to seconds. There was some argument whether it was because they'd entered their box at the time, whether it was pit lanes. That's all been cleared up and sorted out for this round, hopefully. Alleviating any sort of issues. But I think we're going to see a bit of an interesting race. I really want to keep my eye on Graham Carroll coming up, because that pit stop for them and coming in that pit stop window, maybe too early, maybe too late, it's going to be absolutely crucial to their march up this grid. They're well in the danger zone in the mid-pack.
Are you going to be getting stuck in traffic around here, or is it literally going to be easy to pass and therefore you don't need to remove yourself out of that by using the pits?
I think easy to pass, but you can very much get caught out by some of the troubles. There is that indeed.
Sorry about that. I didn't know that was happening. But lovely little ditty. Did you just repeat yourself again, Lewis? We missed you. Oh, we're starting again. Climactic music to get you all excited. Right, the cars are on the grid then. We're getting ready to go racing for 45 minutes here at Interlagos. And the lights are green and off we go. And now we've got to get through the centre S's for the first time cleanly. It's a good start from the pole position, and it's a good start from the front row as they head now down towards this left-hand drop down the hill. And the front few cars have got through cleanly. Just watch the back of the field, make sure they've all got through cleanly. We are with the Sim Pros, of course, and therefore they're much more used to close combats and close quarters, and it looks pretty good so far. It looks as though, at least through the first 3 corners, we're good. Joshua Rogers leads, Thomas Petitjean in second position, Alejandro Sanchez in third, Maximilian Beneke in the orange 33 in fourth, then the first of our Red Bull cars, Sebastian Job fifth, Jeremy Boutaloop sixth, and where is Graham Carroll? Only 19th right now. Our winners from last round. Not a good qualifying, and so far not a huge amount of progress made. But of course, early doors, and there's still lots of side-by-side and sorting out going on.
Yeah, through the middle part, we're seeing some side-by-side from about 6th on back as everyone's sort of tussling for position and trying to find their way through. Here's a move. Oh, diving it down. I think we're going to see quite a bit of that as Osgaard's just trying to fend off for 7th place. It's tricky through that middle part because you are open to overtakes. You don't really want to do anything. There's carnage as well just behind this, I think, just going into the final corner. Graham Carroll was nearly a part of it as well. Oh, a dicey first lap there. It's still clean at the front end.
There's Timo Glock, 23rd positions. His car, it's Alcaraz who's gone off, and Martin Kroenke who has gone off. 38th position for him. He can go into the pits and get himself a fast repair. We've got fast repairs here too. Beneke up the inside for 3rd position, but fighting out around the outside is, I think, Thomas Petitjean. Oh, and there's contact between the two. Petitjean's gone round. Beneke surely has damage, and somehow Sebastian Job managed to avoid that, but Petitjean is going to have to limp that car round. Oh, I'm gutted for Romain Grosjean as well. He would have really loved to have had a good battle at the head of the field. And of course, we do have human race control as well, so they will be looking at all the incidents and accidents to make sure everything was fair. Here is Osgaard and Martin van Loosenoord.
Yeah, for my money, that was a little bit of a naughty move there from Beneke. He just ran a little bit wide through T2, leaving the centre rest, and basically got onto the grass on the exit of T2, and where it bottomed out on the curb, just bounces back on. I wonder if we're going to see a replay of it. We are not. We're going to see this chaos down into Zhengzhou, I think.
Right, this is Florian Kruger then, and just got his braking wrong, and actually the car lost quite a bit of had a bit of damage there, just a little bit deep on the brakes. Made the slightest contact with the car in front, but then got absolutely nailed from behind. So Kruger out, and unfortunately it looks like Phil Dennis hasn't even started the race, which means Albuquerque won't start either. A few cars at the very tail end: Martin Kroenke, Florian Denzer, Thomas Petitjean. Gutted. And Kroenke goes round again.
Yeah, that was the replay of what happened at Zhengzhou. That is where there was that contact between Beneke and Petitjean. Whoa, look at how close Sebastian Job was to getting involved in that. I think he did drop down the order, courtesy of avoiding the accident. I don't know if he's got too much damage on the car. Any slight damage to the wing will slow you down an awful lot. So I think regardless as to how much damage, we're going to see most of the field using the fast repair on the pit stop just to at least get a fresh car for the pros when they get in.
And that's exactly why VCO decided to introduce that, because the pros didn't really want to be driving around a broken car and vice versa. So they all have fresh cars as long as they can survive their stint. Plenty of excitement going on here. Cembulet Bashi on the inside there. He's got Bolot Bashi, who's this battle with? Sorry, it's a bit further down, isn't it? It's quite far down.
Certainly is. Regardless, they're battling as hard as if it's for the lead. No matter what position it's in, you're fighting it as hard as you can, and sometimes you're going to be losing time doing it, so maybe not the best idea. There has been a battle as well a little bit further up the order. This is the battle that I was just about to talk about. Van Loosenoord was battling it out with Tommy Osgaard, and this is on the back of Beneke as well, so there's plenty of... it's on the back of Osgaard. It's Mac Backen he's been battling with behind this. Beneke's run off into the distance, getting as far away from this battle as possible, and it's just costing them all time. Look at the gap between this battle for 4th place and further back down for 5th.
Van Loosenoord looking to the inside line, has already been passed by Osgaard, but looks as though now he's in the slipstream, could potentially get back past again. As you say, all the battling, all of the offline and all of the side-by-side is delaying them, and it means that they're losing touch with Jeremy Boutaloop, who is 4th position ahead of them. That little battle we flicked to earlier, that was actually Chris Lullum and Simone Maria Martheno. Sebastian Job's had an issue. What's happened to Sebastian Job? Look at him on the left-hand side of the timing screen, tumbling down to 17th position and facing the wrong way. Another of our very, very strong competitors with an issue. What happened, Lewis?
I think he got hit on the back. We're about to see this replay down into T4. This is Sebastian Job we're looking at. I think it's Elgabi on the back end of him. Let's watch into the braking zone. Watch that car in behind. About third car in shot. He got some side-by-side goers squeezing off one of the Red Bull drivers. Watch this. A massive hit on the rear end. And away he goes down the escape road. Now, not only, sure, it's great that he's got back going again as we ride on board with Daniel Elgabi into the back end of Sebastian Job. But Job's car's going to be damaged from that. I don't know if it's crabbing too much, but there's certainly some fair damage on it. And there's going to be some damage to the front wing of this car as well.
Well, I reckon I need to go onto our race control chat because I reckon that'll be a penalty. I've not been reading it that much, but there will be penalties aplenty coming to some of them. And I think Danny Elgabe, who is pretty outspoken on our Discord channel, is going to be receiving a penalty, but not as outspoken as a very angry Sebastian Job. And of course, Philippe Eng, who is his teammate. We were supposed to be talking to Philippe Eng at some point. I'm not sure he's going to want to talk to us any longer because he's had an awful fun race. And now it's looking very, very tricky in this championship race as well. 26th, Sebastian Job is only 15 seconds off the lead of the race. Such is the intense nature of racing around Interlagos right now in these Formula 3 cars.
I also wonder if Beneke is going to get in trouble himself for the incident between himself and Petitjean, because that could be crucial when it comes to the championship, with Graham Carroll only in 12th place at the moment, moving his way up the order as well, but still, when think of things, I think he's played things really, really smart. There is that sort of potential. The championship may swing back round in his favour regardless, just through an incident.
Yeah, and we're only round 4, Lewis. Don't get ahead of yourself. There's plenty more to come. We can talk about the championship. We get to 6 or 7, you know, a bit closer to the time.
Let's talk about drama.
Right, what's happening at the head of the field? We have Josh Rogers, 1.5 seconds ahead of Alejandro Sanchez, and then Maximilian Beneke, 0.7 back, Jeremy Bouteloup, 0.7 back, and then that gap to Tommy Usgaard in 5th position. So there are our leaders coming across the line. There is that gap I was saying you about, and Van Loosenord, I think, now challenging Tommy Usgaard for that 5th position as they come to the top of the hill, and according to my timing screen, he's made that one stick with the fastest lap of the race.
Certainly has. I think Van Loosenord's just had some connection issue. He may well have gone. By the way, Max Beneke has been black flagged in game, so the race steward's on top of that one. I'm sure we'll get a bit of a note on that.
Well, I mean, black flag is game over, isn't it? It's not as we see.
I don't think it means penalty.
Okay. Well, in our top right of our screen is Philippe Eng, who has not done a lot of racing. Drive-through penalty for Beneke and Colombo for causing a collision. And let's chat to Philippe Eng, who's not had a very good day of things so far. Philippe didn't even get to do a lap around Indianapolis.
Hi guys, yes, it was very good fun to watch, but unfortunately my race wasn't lasting for so long. And now we were unfortunately involved in this accident with Beneke. And then we got spun around again. We have severe damage on the front wing, so it's good we'll get the fast repair. But I think a top result is not possible anymore today.
I mean, it's so close though. You're down in 23rd position and only 18 seconds back. It's just like one long train of Dallara F3 cars out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool to be involved in this series, and I think we all can't thank VCO enough that they are putting up this show. All those great drivers like Romain, like Rubens Barrichello, Timo Glock, you know, all those guys, to race against them is such a privilege. And even though we are just running 25th at the moment, it's still a lot of fun.
Well, 22nd now. We've had a couple of people in the pits, and Seb has moved up a couple of places. How much chatting do you do during the race, or do you really leave him to it?
Well, not so much, honestly, because he's in the zone. He's trying to focus as much as he can, but we are talking about strategy, about the driver change, which we didn't get right last time out. So we did our homework now, I hope. But he's such a great teammate. I learned a lot from him, and my pace is there thanks to him.
Awesome. Philippe, thank you very much for joining us, and enjoy a full stint, I hope.
Thank you.
Yeah, they missed out on the pit window last time. They pitted too early in Suzuka. Most people miss the pit window by going too late, but those guys were a little bit too early and therefore got themselves a penalty. Need to get the stopwatch out, but as I say, Sebastian Job is doing his thing, and Martin van Loosenhoorn has gone grass tracking as well. He was in the battle for P5, so I wonder what's happened there. We kind of glazed over the fact that Beneke has got a drive-through penalty, and he has taken it. And Lewis, where's he dropped down to?
I don't actually know on my screen at the moment. We just saw in the replay there the connection issue that happened to Van Loosenhoorn and where he dropped down the order. There is Beneke. He's just coming out of the pit lane now, down in 17th place. Oh, that is a harsh penalty. But you can be fair and say maybe he did it to himself. Graham Carroll, though, 7 positions ahead. Of course, I'm playing up the drama of it. It's just the championship's a long way away, but we're focusing on who we've got at the moment. Carroll in 10th place. What we're getting is heading into 2021 a huge reset button when it comes to all of this stuff, and these drivers have really got to effectively earn their paycheck.
Yeah, and for the sim drivers, and actually for the pro drivers as well, there is a prize pool, $1,000 to our winner of the championship race, and so points as well as prizes and money, and that's why some of the very best are with us today. Still, Beneke drops down to 17th position. He's still 5 positions ahead of the man that he kind of ended up forcing off the road, Sebastian Job. And of course, way ahead of Thomas Petitjean, who's down in 37th, who was the victim. So ultimately, yes, he's lost a lot of time, but not as much as the guys around him, as Elgabe now comes in to serve his penalty for nailing the back end of Sebastian Job down at T4.
Yeah, there it is, race control, number 17, drive-through penalty. So he comes in and serves that one. It's that I don't think it'll be doing too much to Sebastian Job. He'll be sat there thinking, well, the penalty doesn't really do very much to me at this point. But either way, you just shake it off. Hopefully, come into the pit lane, get yourself a fresh car, and let the other driver do the work. I'm sure Phil Eng's got his evening cut out for him, as we've got some side by side here. Is that a cock on the inside of Marcello? It might be. It certainly is.
This is Keika Shub. You've got Simona Maria Marfeno and then Keika Shub just behind. And actually in that group of things is Martin van Loosenhoorn as well, as we now look at Niels Koch. And according to the timing screens, Koch is behind van Loosenhoorn. Let's see what we've got here. This is Koch down the inside. Marfeno on the inside line there. And a little bit of contact, just sending him off onto the grass. But probably not necessarily, certainly not purposefully. He had a good attack at Van Loosenhoorn afterwards, didn't he?
He certainly did. I was expecting Van Loosenhoorn to be absolutely sent packing, even though it was a replay, and I know that he's not been. But it was fairly close. At the top end of the field, by the way, you kind of almost expect it from Mr. Josh Rogers. He is absolutely bolted, 2.1 seconds clear of Sanchez, who's 2 seconds clear of Bruce Lupin behind. Looking at Beneke, who's in 15th place, already gone up from 17th up to 15th, and is well a part of this battle that we were looking at the replays of. So he's closing up on Van Loosenhoorn, who went off earlier in the race. It's kind of one of those scenarios where the first few people you get across to try and move your way up, it's almost, I wouldn't say easy, but it's easier. And the higher you get, the harder it is to pass.
Okay, Kashub on the outside line. He's going to lose 2 positions here. Van Loosenhoorn following Simona Marfeno through. And Van Loosenhoorn trying to go down the inside of them. That was a little bit too brave. There was, having done already a bit of overtaking before, to try and stick it down the inside. And Beneke gets forced down to the grass. That's Beneke on the grass. And here's a replay of what happened.
Whoa, that's ambitious. That is far too ambitious from Van Loosenhoorn. Looking backwards to Beneke as we run through, he's just going to get muscled out here. Maybe a little bit of wheel contact, and away he goes. 17th place. Going to have to drag it back on track. Not good. From bad to worse.
And this is the thing, Lewis, when they start pitting. 25 minutes remaining of the race, so the window starts to open now. If they fall into traffic, they could be losing seconds a lap, or even more, put themselves in jeopardy.
Yeah, if you're confident in your pro driver, this is where having and I'm trying to be like nice about this. If you've got a nice fast pro driver, if you have that faith and that belief, you can hand off to them and then let them do the work. But they almost have to be as fast as the sim drivers in that sense. And there are a few drivers where we know that is the case, but you've got to have that belief and that confidence to just pass it off and just be like, right, I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of the pack. You've got to do your bit and try and move us up the order using the strategy to its advantage. If not, you can kind of leave it as late in the window as you dare. Although, you know, not pushing it a little bit too far with the pit window. Otherwise, you receive yourself a fair penalty.
Now, I think, and you can clarify this, pit lane window opening is declared by race control. So the guys in game should get a graphic to say that the pit lane is open. Presumably, it's not at the moment.
It isn't. I haven't seen a message in game. Like we said, it says it in the driver's briefing. We have one every round, a little bit of an update to it as well, making sure that all of the drivers are fully aware and fully up to date. We also have a briefing before we go racing, explaining all of this stuff, because we've got Yannick Lapchin in a replay here, battling it out and trying to fight his way. We're just going to get a buff. Oh, no, he's going to spin out by himself. Oh. Maybe a little bit squeezed. I've had that one before. It's very easy to do. But yeah, you get that briefing and stuff. So they should all be aware of what's happened. And there has been nothing from race control yet. So I believe we're waiting for another 3 minutes.
Is that right?
I'm not sure. I was confused by this in the rules, but I believe that it opens with 20. Because the driver limit is 25 minutes. But I believe that's more put on the
minimum.
Pros. Minimum. Oh,
yes, it's a minimum.
Oh, wait, it's fine.
Yeah, so a minimum limit of 25 minutes. Therefore, because it's not, there is no window. What it is, and what this is the bit that's confusing, is that there's a limit on how long a driver can drive for. Not the window is open, the window is shut, and so that's kind of that's how it's declared. And if you're driving when you're in the pit lane, you're still driving. It's not at the entry of pit lane, you don't stop driving. That's, if you had a window and the window's shut and open, as we've got Elgabay facing the wrong direction again, it's going all from bad to worse for Danny Elgabay. But no, I'm surprised the pit lane isn't open yet, but maybe my maths is really wrong.
I mean, I think as the commentary team, I don't think our maths is our top spot. We just got a message in there from race control. Pit window opens in 60 seconds. Oh,
okay, so it opens at 21. As Danny Elgabay actually does a good job there. He could have nailed the side of that other car. In fact, he just held on the brake and spun himself. So that was actually fair play, having obviously had contact earlier on in the race. Right, so pit lane opens in 30 seconds now. 2.9 the gap for Josh Rogers. Of course, these are the sim drivers, not the pro drivers, and therefore, well, they are pro drivers, they're pro sim drivers. Therefore, they're probably, most of them will be staying in the car, unless you've got a very, very strong real-world driver to put in.
You leave it as late in that window as you dare. That's what I would be doing. I'd be sat there. If I was the pro driver in this scenario, I'd be like, no, just keep going, keep setting the time. In the sense of I want to get in the car, but I also want to win. And so it's kind of that balance of making sure that you're pushing it as far in the window as you dare, but also making sure that you don't push it that little bit too far, because a penalty after the race is far more painful than maybe getting it to your pro driver, who might be a second, maybe a little bit less of a second a lap slower.
Running on board there with Maximilian Beneke, and the benefit of going hits earlier is to not be stuffed up behind slower cars, which is exactly what Beneke is suffering from right now. Martin van Loosenhoorn has gone into pit lane. He'll be handing over to Alex Buncombe, so he's an early pit stopper, as is Pablo Lopez, who we spoke to earlier on in the programme. He'll hand over to Mike Epps. So the second half of the field, we're seeing quite a few pit stops, and actually Sebastian Job also in pit lane, handing over to Romain Grosjean, as Martin Kroenke is having a shocker today. Is that the third time you've seen that car facing the wrong direction? Oh, this time he's helped round by Danny Elgabay again. Uh-oh.
I think he's going to be getting a massive slap on the wrist from race control. It's a touch naughty. this afternoon. I don't think we'll shy away from that. Into perfect clean air, though, Josh Rogers. There's Van Loosenholt, who I almost was panicking, was a little bit too early into the pit lane, but Al Buncombe takes over. And it looks like pretty clean air for him as well. Look at that. Oh, lovely stuff. He's got seven and a bit seconds to the car behind, and no threat from to the car ahead, and no threat from behind either. Lovely.
Al Buncombe, back to a professional racing driver after a few years out of the ability to do so, and works Nissan driver.
He's been off straight away.
Oh, no.
Sorry, he's been off at T4 straight away. There he is.
Oh, dear.
Almost feel bad.
I do feel bad, and he's actually slowing somebody coming up behind him from the Red Bull cars there, coming up behind him and slowing him up. So, just lost the rear on down change, I think that was.
It's arguably, at least from my point of view, and it's got some front wing damage as well, I think, from for his troubles. It's arguably one of the hardest things to do in iRacing is to brake. It's genuinely, in my opinion, it's one of the trickiest things to do. It's the hardest in a lot of cars anyway. But with this, when you've got fairly cold brakes, you've been stationary for a while, cold tyres, etc., getting it slowed down in T4. Maybe he was also a little bit too far over to the right-hand side, touching the white line onto the green stuff. And away he goes. So easy to do, and it's so instant, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, so many people used to complain about the tyres in iRacing. I think over 2020 that the complaints, and there's always going to be complaints from everybody in sim racing, the complaints is very much now focused on the brake feel, especially in GT cars and in the carbon braking cars. They just don't feel like they should. Alex Buncombe has got huge amounts of experience racing in all kinds of different vehicles. To go out the pits at the first braking point, lose it, is a bit of a weird one. Either way, top 5 are in the pits now. Josh Rogers handing over to Aychan Guven, Alejandro Sanchez to Ibrahim, Jeremy Bouteluke will hand over to Matt Campbell, Matt Backham will hand over to Sage Karam. So lots of new names to contend with as Chris Lullum continues. He'll be handing over to Cem Bulutbashi, who's a very, very competitive driver himself. Cem, part of the F1 Esports, amongst all the different forms. He's raced in rFactor 2 and iRacing. Every platform there is, we've seen Cem, as he's now got the one car tucked behind him. And that's a car that's a few laps down. That must be Jimmy Broadbent and Michael Schmidl. Not Michael Schmidl, Michael Schmidt. Schmudo.
I think Smudo. I'm not 100% sure myself. I think the thing is with Cem Bulutbashi, it was a long time ago, if I remember it correctly, when the McLaren MP430 was brand new, so 5 years ago, probably even more than that. Oh my goodness. When it was new to iRacing, he was doing quite a lot, if I remember correctly, in the Grand Prix series, like just the one that you could do like normally, and he took me out once at Indianapolis, so I'm still angry about that. Just throwing that one out there. 5 years ago, but still remember.
Epic pass from Lauren Heinrich on Sasha Gourlay there, coming out of the pits. Had to wait until he'd fully exited the pit lane and gone over the white line. Oh, and Al Buncombe's properly binned it now. Oh dear. I mean, Martin Van Loosenhold's been getting better and better in the F3 car. What's gone on here? A little bit wide through the first turn. Then off balance. Oh, and he loses it on his own, but nearly took out somebody else as well and smashes into the wall.
If he wants to feel better about himself, it wasn't quite to the same level of crash, but he's not the first driver to have hit that bit of grass, because Max Bennekert's also hit that one as well. Obviously, he got a penalty for bumping into Petitjean when he did it, but rather than binning himself. But nevertheless, at least you can put yourself in some pretty decent company with that one. As I believe, everyone's now been into the pit lane, so Aychan Guven now takes the lead with the Guven-Rogers car, so straight up into it. 3.3 seconds, that's pulled out a second in that pit stop window, and we know that Guven's more than fast enough for himself.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is the cars that are challenging him, the people around him, I don't think are the level of Guven. If you were looking at Lorenzo Colombo, for instance, if you were looking at Lauren Heinrich being up at the sharp end of the field, and actually it's been a good strategy from Chris Lullum to stay out that extra lap. Cem Bulutbashi slots into P9 and nearly loses the rear end and nearly takes out Lauren Heinrich. That was very, very close. But who's that facing the wrong direction? Dylan Pereira, used to driving Porsches in the Super Cup and actually did a lot of iRacing. I think he was 5th in the virtual Super Cup that they did for real world drivers in lockdown that I commentated on, and he's been nailed, or did the nailing, sorry. He did the nailing and then broke the suspension.
I think, by the way, I just want to give a shout out to Chembol Bassi about that massive snap save, because that was very, very similar as here we see that incident again. Oof, hard hit. For Bullock Bassi, I'd almost argue that was fairly similar to what happened to Albunken, that it snapped. The difference is that he knew it was going to happen, then just caught it, and then caught it again, and was basically struggling with it all the way through T4. Beautiful car control, and also showing the experience in simulated racing and stuff. He's been in it for ages, but that was a hard car to catch right then, and he did it lovely and just kept on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, of course, each driver will have a little bit of brake bias settings for their own devices, and you might find that when these real-world drivers jump in, they have a different brake bias setting, and perhaps they were screwed a little bit too far to the rear. So, right, here comes Alexei Nezov, F4 driver on Sage Karam. He's got the inside line on Sage Karam, and that should be a pretty... Gustav Grinbergers he's challenging. And they are still side by side. The Coanda car on the inside, still side by side, and there's other cars there too. And I think Alexei Nezov's going to be hung out to dry here because he's now on the outside line. Raul Hyman might be looking to come around the inside, and Alexei Nezov in there too. And Lauren Heinrich joins the party. So very interesting battle for what is P5. Heinrich's
moving his way up the order. That is lovely stuff. Yeah, they're still going. Power to him, and there we go, lovely move. And this is, I'm going to keep bringing it up just because it's drama in it. With the championship and stuff for Carroll, he is taken that weight, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna roll with it. Moving his way up the order, a top 5's definitely on the cards.
They are 12 seconds off the leader of the race. Guven's got a 3-second advantage over Ibrahim, who's got a 3-second advantage over Matt Campbell, who's got a 1.5-second advantage over Sage Karam, who's got a 4-second advantage over Gustav Grinberger. So this is the first battle on track. Grinberger, who's taken over from Usgaard, Alexei Nezov, who's taken over from Patrick Holtzman, Lauren Heinrich, who's taken over from Graham Carroll, and Raul Hyman, who is taken over from Ludding. And then, joining the party next, will be a charging Chembol Bassi. Now in a red line car, of course, Alexei Nezov gets a great run of things. Tries to go around the outside at T4, and Lauren Heinrich's watching all of this. I think that's going to work this time. Great drive off the corner, and Lauren Heinrich now tries to tuck himself down the inside of Grinbergers, and I think that should probably work for him because it'll give him the inside line into the next braking zone, and Raul Hyman thinks, I might come and follow through if I can. Still side by side, great respect from these drivers, and they've managed to cleanly make their way through 3 corners side by side. Raul Hyman not quite close enough to make that one stick, but great sailors, a great couple of laps in this stint. Oh, and round goes Nezov. Nezov spun himself out.
Oh, and the rejoin. Oh.
Who was that he collected? Let's have a look again. Alexei Nezov has finally broken free of the group, not battling with anyone, and just loses the car on down change. All absolutely fine, no damage, comes across the line, it comes back across another car, now has damage, and they are also top 5 contenders for your championship, Lewis, and that is really going to put pay to things because that's a damaged car now and it's a sitting duck.
It's not only a damaged car, but I'd also argue it's a penalty-stricken car because I'm pretty sure he's going to pick one up for that rejoin. I'm not sure if it was Folio Canapino. I don't know who he came across, but it wasn't so great.
I haven't seen anybody just lose positions. We've still got a great battle going on. Grinbergers on the inside line. This is Raul Hyman trying to go around the outside. Chembol Bassi in attendance as well. Well, Bassi will be just monitoring the situation, working out which car to try and follow through if he can get close enough. They've established it already going into turn 5, and so no need to run side by side. But Bola Bassi thinks, I'll try and follow through. I wonder if that Coanda car of Grinbergers has got damage. It's certainly seeming like it's not got the pace of others right now.
I'm wondering if maybe the thing is you can overheat your tyres a fair amount as well from doing it, but it's not ideal.
Right, now that's all settled and calmed down, let's get Somil on board and find out what's been going on in the chat. Somil, have they been enjoying this festive Formula 3 action at Interlagos?
A fair bit as we see this battle going on screen right now. While everyone has enjoyed the side-by-side racing, I'm afraid not everyone was a big fan to rejoin the racing days I've had just a couple of moments ago. That has caused quite a bit of controversy, and otherwise there's a whole lot of discussions going on about where Sophia Flörsch was as well. She currently finds herself in P31 as this battle, Ben, just gets ever so interesting.
Right, it's Kavissa defending into turn 1. She's got Elias Sepenen and Mike Epps, and there's a little bit of contact and runs a little bit wide. All kinds of things going on. So why was Sophia Flörsch such an interest, Somil?
Yeah, indeed, what a fun one that was, and it's good to see everyone interacting. It's good to see this sort of racing. Drafting, of course, quite a big factor eventually, but now it's all calming down just a little bit after that one. Here's Sophia Flörsch, P34, and it's getting close for her, isn't it? Ooh, no.
Oh dear. So there we go. That's obviously the chat were wanting to see her, and they've now had the opportunity to see her, but unfortunately she's facing the wrong direction. She did a good job in the Indy Pro race. It's a shame to see her being eliminated like that.
Yeah, she was quite good in the Indy race. She didn't really have the best of times in the last Formula 3 race, but here it was somewhat decent. She managed to avoid all the incidents, and then that happened.
And what else is being said in the chat, Somil? You've been monitoring it since the start of the race. Obviously, plenty of penalties early on. Was there much opinion about Beneke?
Not quite. Not much opinion about Beneke, quite to be honest with you. But everyone was just feeling all the emotions that we were at the same time. Just feeling, oh goodness me, why did X driver do that? Why did they have this incident? It's so pleasing to see the fans so emotionally attached to a race like this one, and with so many minutes still left to go, and with the drama still coming to its climax, well, we're going to see quite a lot more of that on the YouTube chat in the next 7 odd minutes.
Go and chat with Somil on our YouTube channel, VCO YouTube, and you can chat to Somil and give him your opinion on how this race is going. We'll catch up before the end of the race. 7.5 minutes remaining of this Formula 3 race. Round 4 of the VCO ProSim Series here at Interlagos. Drive-through penalty for the 111 car, which isn't going to make much difference because Dylan Pereira has already been around a couple of times and he's down in 30th spot.
It's just sort of adding to not a great situation, is it, unfortunately? But it is one of those things, sometimes, you know, you want all of the bad stuff to just happen in one round, then you can focus on the rest of the season, hopefully just dust it off and move on. Cemboluk Bassi, who's been moving his way up the order, is well a part of this train. I was saying the top 5 for Heinrich wasn't too far of a tall order. Has moved up into 5th place already, but I would suggest if I am Heinrich right now, I'm staring in my mirrors. I'm not worried about Heinrich. I'm worried about Boluk Bassi, who is moving up the order. Now is going to be staring for 6th place and a potential move. I don't think it's close enough to do anything into T1, mind. Bit of traffic as well involved. That'll be Schmidt getting out of the way. I think he's got a bit of work to do.
In the pits, Louis Delatraz taking his drive-through penalty, sadly. So he's descending out of the top 15. Cemboluk Bassi still trying to find a way past Raoul Hyman here, and a great entertaining battle behind. Lots of chat from our pro drivers that our pro sim drivers that of course now out of the car, not happy about qualifying and the format at all, Lewis. They might be used to lone qualifying, but the real world is used to all cars having to share the same track. And yeah, okay, you couldn't get your clean lap in, you couldn't go as fast as you needed to or ultimately could have, but isn't it also about managing the traffic and managing the people around you to be able to get that clean lap in?
Absolutely, I am fully with you there. I'm sorry, I'm not going to dance around on this one, but what are we trying to simulate here? Are we trying to simulate, messing about on some, I don't want to say actually because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But what are we trying to? We're trying to simulate real world, and part of that is qualifying. Now, yes, I get that a 40-car grid is massively hard to qualify on, but that's what we're supposed to be doing here. That's what we're trying to emulate here, and it's all about finding a clear space. Now, me as a driver, when I used to do it, I absolutely loved qualifying and trying to find that clean air, trying to find where I can sort of get my lap in, get into the slipstream as we ride on board with Foley, who's trying to battle it out for 8th place. He's going to go around the outside at T4. I'm not sure if that one's going to work.
Well, it's Gustav Grimbergus ahead of him, and that car just hasn't looked fast at all in the hands of Gustav. Tommy Ulsgaard was P5 at the end of his first stint, and Foley is going around the outside. He's still got a bit of an overlap, and he'll still just about have an overlap into... I suppose it's T6 really, this right-hander, this continuation of right-handers, but all you really need to be is on the inside at the braking point, which is here, and Robbie Foley is, and he moves himself up into P8. This is a good performance actually for Foley. He was pretty strong in the IMSA lockdown series last March-April time, but so far in the Formula 3 car hasn't necessarily got totally on top of it, but looking good right now.
It's a tricky car to get on top of. It's not an easy car to drive. You know, you're talking fairly low downforce. In comparison to some of the other cars, it's more, I wouldn't say high power, because it's certainly not, but it's a bit of a balancing act. And then when you put into all of that the brakes and stuff, they're tricky brakes. They're very powerful brakes in these cars. Realistically, it's a tricky beast. Who was that? Who was backwards, just flying through shot there, just behind us. I think it might be Wickens. It certainly is. Robert Wickens dropping down the order. It's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, great to have Robert with us. Obviously using hand controls, a very special system set up for him to race the Indy 500. What was that, back in May time, and then has continued his iRacing journey for the last couple of months. But braking is really difficult. He's got effectively a hand brake. He needs to feel the pressure and the amount that he's putting in, and it's very, very tough. And so trying to adjust to that particular feeling and trying to get the technology to work the way that he wants it to. You know, BMW Motorsport put in huge amounts of money to make it work for Alex Zanardi a few years ago when he came back to DTM, I think it was, and then into endurance racing. And yeah, maybe the sim world hasn't quite got to that point yet for Robert, but great to have him with us, and it's really cool to allow him to go racing. And he was actually in a kart a couple of weeks back, getting back into the real world, getting the wind between his thighs and around his armpits once more. Interesting that still the chat going on. Maximilian Beneke very vocal about actually with us, Lewis, I have to say, explaining that we went to lone qualifying. We didn't like it, and I'll tell you why we didn't like it. It's because it looked awful on television and the broadcast. You can only see one car at a time, and you can't necessarily see any other cars around. You can't pick cars. It looks lonely, and it just doesn't work. And so Maximilian saying, yep, they weren't happy with the lone qualifying. That's why we've got to go back. It is what it is. It's a favourite phrase of Maximilian Beneke. He's also apologised for the contact with Thomas Petitjean, and certainly taking responsibility for that. Grimbergus looks like he's got enough pace to keep with Robbie Foley. Not quite enough to go down the inside there for P7, but Foley runs a little bit deep. Not long left now.
They'd switched positions because Foley had to do a move again. It was from Grimbergus, who ran wider, I think it was Pico de Pato, around the latter part of the circuit on the previous lap. So as much as Foley seems to have decent pace and Grimbergus doesn't maybe have the pace of him, still battling it out. And that's a joy of this track, is the slipstream just brings you back into it regardless. A minute left. Oh, it's getting tight.
Yeah, I wonder where Ayçhan Guvin is around our lap, because now it's the time for when is the last lap of the race. Here he is then, and Guvin comes towards the line and will start his final lap now. 3.1 seconds to the good over Mohamed Ibrahim, who's held on to second position for Alejandro Sanchez. That's going to be another really good result for for Sanchez. We haven't seen so much of Mohamed Ibrahim so far. Good battle here for P4 though. Lauren Heinrich versus Sage Karam, and it is still advantage Karam, but it's going to be down at turn 4 where the next challenge will come from Lauren Heinrich. And considering the qualifying from Graham Carroll, this has been a fantastic performance from the German to get themselves up into P5. Sage Karam moving from left to right to left, trying to shake the slipstream, but actually, in the end, Lauren Heinrich wasn't quite close enough to make that one stick. Maybe one more opportunity at the end of the lap, but ultimately, I think that was advantage, or he's got enough of an advantage to hold on to P4 for Sage Karam, which again, I think would be their best result this season. himself and Matt Backham, just behind another Coanda car of Campbell and Bootloop. It's Coanda 1-3-4 right now, absolutely dominating this race. Oh, let's switch back. Maybe a bit of contact between the two, and as that, no, it hasn't quite allowed an opportunity for Lauren Heinrich to go past, but both of them were offline and both of them are very, very squirrely. The checker flag awaits. Ayachan Guven, though. Sorry, Lewis.
No, I was going to say it was nearly an attempt, but it's going to be slipstream to the line.
Here comes Ayachan Guven over the line to take victory in round 4. His second victory of the VCO ProSim Series season, with Josh Rogers doing the qualifying and doing the first stint of the race. And it's going to be side by side for P4. Who's it going to be? Has Lauren Heinrich got enough of a run? It's going to be so close. And it was just Sage Karam by 0.09 of a second over Lauren Heinrich. That was almost like the Indy 500 finish that we saw earlier on today. So close. Mohammed Ibrahim was second, Matt Campbell was third, and still more battling coming across the line. Great to have entertainment all the way to the flag in a 45-minute encounter, 2-driver race. And massive credit to Lewis, to Lauren Heinrich, to get up to P5 from what Graham Carroll qualified 19th?
20th. They've done as a team, because Graham Carroll moved his way forward, but I think he moved himself only up to about 10th place, handed it over to Heinrich, who then marched forward to 5th place regardless. That is a fantastic, stunning effort that'll do them well and them proud, and a great battle as well. Chembolok Bassi, I'm a bit surprised, sort of only got up to 7th, and then sort of just the pace went a bit stale, I guess. Just couldn't march past that point.
Philippe Eng got himself up to 15th by the end. Lorenzo Colombo with Maximilian Beneke, 11th position. So those two very important in terms of championship. Romain Grosjean got up to 22nd by the end. So he must have had a very entertaining second half of the race. Such a shame it wasn't so higher up. But look at I love these sim drivers. They do it properly. None of this kind of spinning and crashing at the end of the race. They drive their cars to the pits as they should, like a real race. And here is the provisional result. Provisional result, remember, because we still have some adjudication to look at. But Guven and Rogers takes the win. Ibrahim and Sanchez second, Campbell and Bootloop third, Cameron and Backham fourth, and then Heinrich and Carroll 5th. Hyman and Ludding, great result for them in 6th position. Pollock Bashi was spectacular in the second half of the race, up to 7th with Chris Lullum. New partnership actually for this race, those two. Foley and Voss entertained in 8th. Grimbergs and Usgaard faded in 9th, and Canapino and Trogan into the top 10. Still expecting more from those two, still wanting more, 20 seconds back by the end. Colombo and Beneke with a penalty, only 11th. Edgar Martheno 12th, Sepainen and Kashub 13th. Visser and Kosh 14th, Eng and Job only 15th spot, 30 seconds back. Epson Lopez just behind. Bortolotti and Setas, Stevens and Berkay, Delatraz 19th with Butcher, and then Philpott and Nemeth in 20th position. Alcaraz and Krunke only 21st. That car went round a million times. Grosjean Petitjean actually raced them to the flag by the looks of things. Vivish and Mange 23rd, Krog and Libet in 24th. Marcello and Arana didn't really improve, 25th only. Klingman and Schlottmann 26th, Heiss and Denzer 27th, Garcia and Schlottels 28th, and then Morad and Gourlay 29th, Pereira and Franco, we saw that car facing the wrong direction a few times, in 30th position. Flourish and Veniger, then Mulliner and Elgabe, Glock and Kurtz, Vickens we saw one lap down, Wagner and Weiss, Smuddo and Broadbent in 36th position, 5 laps back. What was going on with Jimmy? Eduardo Barrichello and Lapshaw retired, as did Bunken and Van Loosenor, Prio and Kruger, and Nessov and Holtzman retired in 40th position. Huge for them as well and their championship hopes. Right then, let's get to our winners. It's a happy birthday, in fact, to the man on my, what is that, right-hand side? Hi, Chad Guven. Happy birthday, my man, and congratulations. What a victory. Awesome. I hope you guys can hear that because I can't hear it. So I'm saying awesome.
Yeah, no, I think you might have been
that,
muted.
you guys can...
I'm sorry. Sorry. I was looking you guys, and you don't give any reaction to my words. I say okay, and okay, no. Just thanks Josh for giving me one of best president I ever have. Like, I drive 15 minutes my president on the track, so it feels really good. Thanks him for, as usual, a perfect job. So yeah, second win for us this year. So really happy, and thanks again, Josh and all team for us.
Looks like, Josh, you guys really prepared. Coanda 1-3-4. That's pretty good result for the whole family.
Yeah, it was really great for the whole team, to be honest. Obviously it was awesome to have Mac beside me as well, with him celebrating the stage after their result too. They just hung on for P4. So from the whole team, it was a fantastic effort. Really we started practicing. Obviously, I guess yesterday or this morning, I think it was pretty clear that it was going to be Interlagos, so we could kind of put all our eggs in one basket there. And to be honest, it was a really, really fun car track combo to drive. So I think that made practicing for it just a little bit easier. I think actually kind of wanting to definitely compete or drive in it at least. And I mean, we're so competitive anyway that we always want to do the best job we can. So we'll always put as much effort as we can into it in the time frame that we have. And I think today that showed. Chan drove an awesome race as well. He kept it all together, which is something that he always does, which is fantastic. And especially considering all of those, there was a few encounters there with some lap traffic that definitely got my heart rate up, but he kept cool as a cucumber and brought it home.
Talking of traffic, a lot of your contemporaries you might have seen, Josh, complaining about the format of qualifying and it being impossible to get a good lap in. Well, you did all right.
Yeah, I think open quali always kind of poses a lot of questions. From a realism perspective, it's the way it is in real life. Setting yourself up in qualifying to give yourself the best run possible is a strategy and a kind of a technique that real drivers and sim racers alike should have to know. And I think that's an area where we can kind of implement that into the sim, and we're doing so. Sure, solo qualifying does always completely level the playing field. The track isn't evolving. You don't have any other cars to worry about on the track at the same time. But at least for me personally, I usually tend to prefer the open format just because it does bring that extra element into it a little bit. And I guess coming from karting as well, I'd kind of experienced that a little bit where you kind of have to try and get yourself where you need to be for when the moment counts. Here, for example, the fastest lap was always going to be that last lap. So you kind of had to set yourself up so that you had the right gap for that time. You weren't going to set your PB on lap 2 and then end up staying there. So it's an extra element that I enjoy. It always brings up a lot of questions, but no, it's definitely something that I think it's a cool aspect. It's not something we get to experience all the time in sim racing nowadays anyway.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Josh. January, overall enjoying this series, being able to kind of combine your real world and your virtual world in one place. Oh, he's on mute again. Brilliant.
Okay, sorry. I'm one of the drivers who starts more with the sim racing, then go to real life. So for me, it's a good platform for having my sim friends and the real drivers friends in the same race. So it's so much fun for me. And yeah, as I say, when you have teammates like Josh or other Coanda drivers, you always have a good chance as a real driver in this championship. So yeah, Josh always give me the best position, and I keep it. So yeah, again, thanks to him for birthday gift. Yeah, and I'm happy for the championship points. I think we have 2 runs to go, and we have 2 wins already. So aim is I want to win last 2 races also, and then we will see what happens.
I think you've got 4 races to go. I might be wrong, but I thought it's an 8-round championship, so I think you've got
4?
Plenty more chances to. Yeah.
Okay. So then it's better. Then it's better.
All right. Have a beer, guys. Enjoy and relax. Well done to the whole Coanda team. It's going to be a fun night, I think, in the Coanda house over in Germany tonight. We're going to flip these guys. Thank you very much. And look at that. It's like magic. From Aychan Guven and Josh Rogers to Lewis and Somil. Right. Reactions then. Somil, you've followed this from the very beginning as my second commentator. What do you make of tonight?
Tonight was a bit of an iffy one in terms of the disciplinary side of things. We saw drivers get caught up in quite a few incidents that ideally shouldn't have happened, to be very honest with you. But apart from that one, if we do keep that to one side, the racing was intense. We saw some really good battles. It may not have been the best battle in the world for the lead, but otherwise, all the way through in the midfield, that was some really good side-by-side racing action. And hey, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, some good fun racing.
And Lewis, your first time on the mic for the VCO ProSim series. How did you enjoy?
Oh, I loved it. I thought the fun race. We had a nice way to start the evening. It was a bit chaotic, but a nice way to at least end the race. Only a thousandth separating our winners. And then moving into this championship race, I agree. There was a little bit of dirty stuff, just sort of more accidental than anything with true malice. But it was great to see Guven and Rogers winning their second race of the season, moving their way back forward after a not great Suzuka. And what a perfect way to start the new year. It may be midpoint of the season, but starting that new year in the best possible way, oh, you can't top it.
I can't believe that it's only the 2nd of January. We've already ticked off one of our first esports events of the year. And do you know what, boys? We've got to wait until the 20th of January before we do this all again. I don't know who made the calendar up, but we're going to go and give them a good slap. We need more races in January. What else are we supposed to do? Everyone's locked down, doing nothing. So stay tuned on VCO or across all of our social media channels, because I think we might be trying to fill this very boring hole of January with some more entertainment for you guys, as well as, of course, this ProSim series. And by the way, if you literally like the music that you hear behind us playing, whether it be the title sequence or this kind of bubble, can you hear it just behind us right now? You can download it on iTunes. Apparently, iTunes, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. So search VCO Esports, and you can have this. I don't. Maybe it's good for working. Maybe you can study to it or something. It gets my heart rate going. But there's a full album for you, so you can enjoy that in between our 4th race for championship and our 5th in the 20th of January. Make sure you join us. Thank you very much to Louise. Louise, you're now Louise.
I'll take it. It's fine.
and Somil for joining us this evening, and join us again on the 20th of January. Keep across all VCO social media for everything that's happening in the world of VCO and esports. My name is Ben Cossenjuris. Enjoy our clip. See you again.